Okay, so now we need to place our basement walls or foundation walls, depending on what you want to call them. They are going to extend from the top of foundation level to the top of footing level. So those are going to be our constraints. So I'm going to open my basement floor plan. So I go to my project browser over on the left-hand side, double click on basement floor, and now the wall that I'm going to use is a 10-inch foundation wall. So I click on the wall tool up on the architecture ribbon. I don't have to click the drop down, just click right on the tool. And it defaults to give me a basic wall generic 6-inch. Well, that's not what I want. So I click in the properties and select foundation 10-inch concrete. That's the one that I want. Okay, so now I've got some constraints that I need to confirm before I start placing this. First, up in this little green ribbon, the modify ribbon, my location line is finish face exterior. That's okay. I'm good with that. So I'm going to leave that. So no changes in that ribbon. But over here in my constraints, I have a base constraint that is top of footing. That's okay. But then my top constraint is up to level, let me click the drop down, up to level basement floor. Well, that's not what I want. I want it to go up to the level TO foundation or top of foundation. So I select that and click apply. Now I can go out here someplace in the middle of my screen and start drawing. I'm going to click once to start my wall, and then I can go a certain dimension and click again, or if I know what my dimensions are, I can just enter the dimensions on my keyboard. So I know that this first wall across the back of the house, I want it to be 30 feet long. So I simply type in 30, enter, and now I've got a 30-foot wall. Then I get my cursor going straight down. So notice it's at 90 degrees. And that one is 32 feet. So I click 32, or I type in 32, enter, and then do this again. Although this time I don't have to click in the dimension because it gives me that dashed blue line. So I can just click there and then click back up here. And then to stop placing walls, I click escape on my keyboard twice. And now I have a foundation. I'm going to click the 3D view because I want to see what I made. So I'm going to go up to the shortcuts ribbon at the very top of my screen and click on the little house right here. That opens this 3D view, and I can zoom in a little bit by rolling on my roller on my mouse, and I can see that I have 4 foundation walls. Next thing that I want to do is to create a footing that goes underneath those foundation walls. So to do that, I am going to click on the Structure tab up at the top. And the footing that I want to use is this wall footing that's right here on the foundations area on the ribbon. So I'm going to click on that. This thing comes in as 36 inches wide by 12 inches deep. That's a little large for the structure that we're building. We could actually look it up in the code book and do some research on it. But I'm going to change this to a 24-inch wide by 8-inch deep. So the way that I do that is by clicking the Edit Type button. Now here I've got a choice. I can either just edit the name and edit the properties, or I can make a new one. If I think that at some point in this project I'm going to use a 36 by 12 inch footing, then I'd want to keep this one, duplicate it, and make one that matches my new parameters. But I'm not going to use it, so I'm going to just edit this. I'm going to click Rename, and I'm going to change this to 24-inch by 8-inch. So I've changed the name, but what I haven't changed is the actual size. So I need to look at the dimensions here in the type parameters. So I need to change this. This was 3 feet or 36 inches. Now I want it to be 2 feet or 24 inches. So click on 2. And then click in the next space down. The thickness was set to 1 foot. I need it to be 8 inches. So I type 8 inches. And that's all I really need to change, and say OK. And so now notice over in my properties it changed the name, and so now I just need to click on the 4 walls of my basement and now I have footings all the way around. That's one of the structural components of Revit, so it knew to put the footing at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and look at my south elevation just to make sure that that all happened the way I thought it did. So in my project browser, I scroll down a little bit, I double click on the south elevation, and let's find my house. Yes, so you can see here that my BO footing lines up my TO footing and my TO foundation. So life is looking pretty good. We did okay. That's the end of part 3, and now on to part 4.